Dignitas. Very good one for Team Dignitas.
Yep, and the thing is that at this point, everybody is pretty comfortable to say that tuneless Spider Queen is something that Europe is very comfortable on, just simply because they're usually really good trying to dominate the objective here from a draft perspective and also from the double turn-in that you're really aiming for. Again, we have in this case Ballistics aiming for the first pick, so I'm ready. I'm ready for a Ballistics draft that really brings the pain to Dignitas and makes them work for the victory.
Haven't seen a Tomb game from Ballistics yet at this tournament. They did play quite a bit at the HGC finals and did pretty well there. They were able to defeat Expert there, roll 20, then eventually did lose to Fnatic. A favorite for them has been Ragnaros in the past. He's always been a favorite of Jungha's. We'll see if we see it here from them.
Yeah, so far we have pretty traditional openings, ETC and Tassadar banned out. I feel Tassadar on this map even more of a priority ban. We have seen him slide through a few of the drafts here today, but normally he's an early ban for sure. And on this map it's even more emphasized just simply because the vision aspect is so important when you try to control the two turning points. Early pickup on Greymane as well, good wave clear, good kill potential too. And Dignitas again, Genji here going for, I don't know. Can you call that old school? Probably not really, but it's something that we have seen, especially during Phase 2, Part 2, where we had a lot of Uther and Genji, just simply because that Divine Shield helps Genji to pop up with a Dragon Blade so much in teamfight.
Well, geez, I was just talking about the mid-season brawl, and have a Greymane first pick and then Uther Genji rotation together. It really does harken back to that time.
They heard you.
Snitch's Genji is a menace. It's really good. Oh, Poik plays it too, huh?
Yeah,
they've
exactly.
They've got a many different ways they can run this then.
It's one of the cool things when you have roster swaps. I mean, everybody is talking about, yeah, is the hero overlap something that is a problem for them because some of them will have to adapt to new roles, to new heroes. Are they really there yet? How long is it going to take them to get comfortable with these situations? But it also has an upside. You are extremely flexible in your draft because all of a sudden you have several players that excel at certain heroes and you can branch out on the 3-4 on the last pick to just cater to that. So there's definitely a couple of advantages to it. Now Ballistics again, Greymane and Rhaegar. The early pick into Greymane for the reasons mentioned. We have Rhaegar also. Wave clear is fantastic. His panic button with Ancestral is great. He's straight up the best support here next to Lucio. And this time we have Arthas on their side, so they don't have to ban him out. They have Arthas together with this setup. Very powerful here on the map. So far, a very good and solid draft for them.
I wonder if Team Dignitas will go down the same route of style of composition of the last game, getting the double reset with Li Ming Genji or with the Muradin for the lockdown for the damage from Genji, just because it is still Tomb of the Spider Queen and wave clear is really important. So far those two don't really give them much.
Gul'dan is another hero that we could see here. It depends a bit on the rest of the setup. I would love it also with maybe then a second support here, but that is definitely an option that Dignitas could run. Now we're talking about bans, and Dignitas, what are they going to get rid of here? Junkrat. Enough respect for Junkrat, even with Genji already on their side, that they say, okay, the wave clear aspect is just a bit too strong here. I want to make sure that this is not going to be an issue. And to be honest, I feel like the strengths of Junkrat are also a little bit emphasized on this map. Quick rotations between the lanes, especially after 13, and also just those endless grenades from one lane to another, the wave clear on the bot lane. And it's a lot harder, I feel, to really gank up on it.
Yeah, there's already a clear wave clear advantage for Team Ballistics, so it makes sense that Dignitas is trying to limit that as best they can now, while probably picking up something like the Gul'dan that you mentioned, maybe JPL's Johanna, something that will be able to help them make up for that problem in their draft so far.
I'm a fan of the Stitches ban. It didn't even cross my mind until they banned it out, but it really makes a lot of sense. Dignitas is the team that next to Fnatic made Stitches such a powerhouse in the European scene. Dignitas more so than anybody else. You already have Uther as a stun follow-up if you get that hook. It's a great map for Stitches, and you know that they play it. So it's taking one of the options away from Dignitas, but as we said before, they have a lot of flexibility here. They go into the double resets that we have seen on the last map with now Genji and Li Ming, and they add a Nubarak to the equation.
Wow, they are going right back into that double reset comp with the just kill composition. And we'll remain to see what Wubby's hero will be for that last choice. Next two picks for Ballistics. maybe a secondary support, although that was problematic for them in the last game that they weren't able to use those two supports to keep the person alive that Dignitas found.
Yeah, Ballistics definitely needs need a bit more. They already have. They can play Arthurs as the main tank, or they can add a second one here as well. But with the ban so far, I would expect them to get a bruiser for the bot lane in this case. The one thing that actually scares me a little bit is that oftentimes when we have a Nuburak, Li Ming is picked as a counter, just simply because Disintegrate can blow up the cocoon this heavily. Now, of course, the Ruben armor on a Nuburak helps him a bit against her, the beetles as well. But just having the tool against the cocoon is incredibly important when your opponent starts to heavily engage upon you. And right now, Ballistics doesn't really have that. They have with Kerosene something that helps a bit, so they still have some tools that can burn it down a bit faster. And now Chromie also in the mix just leads me to believe that we are seeing more and more one-shot potential here after Howling Blast. If you get Chromie in with the damage, you have Grain in and there with a potential bullet, or at least with the final blow, that can hurt a lot.
Chromie will also be helpful when Team Dignitas want to siege along with their web weavers. Yep.
It feels also to me as if Dignitas needs a second support for this.
And I like the Karazim though as the adjustment for second support for Ballistics, because as long as they're quick on the uptake, Palm doesn't take nearly as long as it felt like Sound Barrier was taking.
Yeah, it's
and
going to
Ancestral.
be interesting to see how they're going to deal with the damage. If they really draft another solo laner bruiser for Wooby, Uther is going to have a rough time dealing with cocktail damage,
yeah,
with Kerosene jumping in, with Chromie poke as well. So they go for the second support. I like that a lot. That makes way more sense than them heading into another bruiser here. Malfurion in the European scene is also the most popular second support that we have until the Spider Queen. This is really something which all of the European teams have adapted by now. This wave clear is great, and with the setup that they're running, they have a lot of good lockdown.
Yeah, it always seems like when one side gets Rhaegar and the good wave clear that he gives, the other side ends up getting Malfurion and the roots to follow up. The stuns from Uther and from Nuburak. The lockdown will be there to try to take down, and Twilight Dream sets up really nicely for Li Ming and Genji to start the reset train. And they get them a second victory over Ballistics.
Yeah, they have a decent setup, but I feel also Ballistics has a really cool setup for this map now. It just comes down to execution, I believe. And I would really expect Ballistics to put up more of a fight here. I feel like they were caught off guard a bit in the first game. First of all, by the level of execution that we saw from Dignitas, but also from the aggressiveness of the draft. And I think at this point, we are going to see them a bit more prepared.
Yeah, I don't know if we've seen much of a Ballistics Chromie, but I'm always already thinking back to who's going to be playing what, how things are set up, how this looks for the team. But they do have great wave clear for Tomb the Spider Queen. They have Chromie being able to... I don't know if we'll see Temporal Loop since Uther can get Hand of Protection, but either way, being able to give some kills to the team.
I mean, pre-13, Chromie has to be really careful here, because you have two heroes, or you have like three actually, that can really put the pressure on you. So this is the one here to really watch out for in that second game right now. If they can keep her alive and she gets value, then that would be fantastic for Ballistics, but they have to prove that first. So that's really going to be one of the linchpins in this game. Ballistics to the left with Magi on Rhaegar, Hooligan on Arthurs, SDE on that Chromie that we have to watch out for, Jongha on Greymane, and SC is playing Kerosene.
And up one game in this best of two, Team Dignitas, Zaelia playing Uther, Snitch on Genji, Poik on Li Ming again, Wubby playing Malfurion, and JPL playing a Nuburak.
So we have Wubby on support. And this is actually one of the funniest things about the entire Rost Apocalypse in Europe that we had so far, that we have so many different players now that have occasionally the duty to jump onto the second support. In most teams, we have by now 3 players that, depending on the setup that they're running, will play the second support, and that is true for Fnatic and for Dignitas, so it makes sometimes some really interesting combinations. What
has been interesting for me on that line of thought is the regional difference we see from that. It is very clear that Team Dignitas, both of the European teams here, at least at GCWC, are willing to, in scenarios like this, with the double range, double support, put people like Wubby, the melee, traditionally the solo laner, on that support. But teams like Ballistics, the Korean teams, are not doing that. They flex over certain ranges over to those solo laners like Jungha, like Rich, and then they flex over to make sure that a ranged flex is the one who's playing at the secondary support.
Yeah, JBL blown to pieces here, by the way, but your point is well made, because we see the same on the side of Fnatic. For example, when we're talking about Mene, his hero pool is actually incredible at this point, because he's playing so many of these second supports, he still has his mages available, and depending on the setup that they're running, you see him on other heroes, as for example, Greymane too. Already for Dignitas, he had a pretty big hero pool, where he just backs into whatever they needed and filled that gap. Of course, he excels mostly on the mage heroes, but he's always willing to make the transition. And he actually secretly enjoys a couple of supports. Tassadar is a hero that he loves to play.
His force walls are insane.
Yeah, they definitely are. He's very happy also with Lucio or Karazim. And we're seeing the same for Dignitas, where a lot of these players are absolutely willing to just play for the team and get that support position.
And what that does is that does give Dignitas more flexibility, the European teams more flexibility, but for the Korean teams, it lets them make sure that they're keeping the same secondary support so they can really refine their roles. So there's pros and cons to both, just as there is a kill on the Warriors of both in this game.
Exactly, on both sides. Ballistics this time with a bit more early game aggression, getting the kill against the Nubarak, as we pointed out. But they counter kill as Dignitas showcases what we highlighted in the draft, that with Malfurion following up the stuns on the side of a Nubarak, you have so much lockdown. And then Uther can just simply walk up, and if the old geezer also drops another stun, then you know you're in trouble. Also makes, it basically points a target on you, paints a target on you that Li Ming can follow up with. And Karazim,
there was the target.
Yeah, Karazim is currently the recipient of exactly that aggression.
Doing what he can to slow down a hooligan from chasing JPL. Having a Loon's Grace is going to help a lot in making sure that he can follow up once Nubarak goes in from that too. And Webby's just been chilling in the bottom lane. It's not often that you see a sort of solo laner as a support, but it works out for Webby because he has Moonburn, and the team has been helping him out with a lot of rotations, very fluid rotations in this game.
It's one of the most overlooked aspects of Genji on this map, for sure, that you can just help out the solo lane whenever you want to. It's so fast how you can traverse from the mid lane into the bot lane, so Genji is already great in the fights, and his in-fight mobility is fantastic, but it really, really helps to let, as you said, Ruby in this case on Malfurion as more or less solo lane, because every now and then Genji's going to say hi, make sure that there's not too much pressure.
Yeah, and because it's a Greymane in that bottom lane, since Ballistics has again chosen to go into the double support, double ranged assassin, then he's a lot more scared to venture out into the lane, and that helps make sure that Webby can keep control of that too.
Yeah, Snitch with a couple of nice dodges here, but showcasing exactly that situation. He just went down, put some pressure onto Greymane, Ballistics tried to catch him, but it's really tricky to lock the Ninja down, so that didn't work out for them here. But still a pretty back and forth game, whereas Dignitas has a slight lead in that objective fight. So when it comes to the race on the gems, they're looking strong right now.
Yeah, with those quick rotations, they have been rotating through, dropping off gems here and there, and that sets them up for the first Web Weaver phase of the game.
And that is mainly because they had so much control and so much pressure on the solo lane on the side of Ballistics, on Greymane. Greymane was the one that couldn't turn in any gems. So this laning setup that we saw from Dignitas with rotations between the lanes, making this very fluid transition happen, worked out well for them. It allowed a safe solo lane on the side of Malfurion. There was not a lot of pressure on him. They pressured his opponent, could not turn in any gems, and that leads to that first Web Weaver phase that we're now seeing for Dignitas.
And as we know, European teams are wont to do on Tomb of the Spider Queen. They'll be trying to siege down as much as they can to get a lead so that they can get the double turn-in phase around heroic abilities. The cleaning up of this is pretty good from Ballistics. They're going to lose some towers in the mid. The siege happening in just 2 lanes. Team Dignitas allowing that top one to just be cleaned up really quickly by Rhaegar and trying to maximize the number of towers they get as a result in the other 2 lanes, even getting the well.
Yeah, the European style. Hurt them with the first Web Weaver wave and then kick them while they're down. Try to get the second one. So at this point, yeah, I know, right?
They are starting to turn in, but there's not enough of a lead that Ballistics can't get out and get aggressive right now, and it's for long enough. Team Dignitas is only just encroaching on 9. So there's the point still for Ballistics because of that earlier turn-in to try to recover from this and not allow that scenario to happen.
JPL with the engage, trying to get the stun, misses it on the other hand. Now the turnaround attempt against him, and Nubarak in a bit of trouble, eating the damage, but still absolutely fine. Hooligan is low on hit points and low on mana, and that forces Ballistics for now to retreat. They need that turn-in because Dignitas is only one level away from 10.
Yes, they do. All of Dignitas here in the bottom except for Uther, just making sure that nobody's there top. Arthas falls. Temporal Loop was used. Greymane giving another reset as Snitch takes him down.
Yeah, and that is a double kill. And can they make it a triple? Not quite. The problem, we pointed it out, Arthas had no mana left, and he really needed to back. They were hoping to get a kill with a Temporal Loop. As that didn't happen, they were already too deep. They overextended here. They really wanted the kill. They didn't have the patience because they knew there was a clock, there was a time on them as Dignitas headed into 10. But Arthas without mana just couldn't survive there. There was not enough support for him. And now Dignitas gets the double kill, gets level 10. I mean, and the second web we were faced. This is the problem, you overextend in that situation. If it works, it's great, but in this case it backfired, and now they're really in trouble.
The thing is, Dignitas did not have enough gems yet to get heroic abilities. It's almost like maybe they could have just sent Hooligan back really fast, tried to poke, stop as many turns as they could. They have good poke heroes and vision, thanks to Chromie, but it just wasn't in the cards for them, and now they're even further behind.
Also, it's really important to note that one of the plays that really made this happen is that Dignitas focused heavily on destroying the fountain in the mid lane. If that would have still been there, Arthas could have simply tapped and went into this fight with full hit points and a lot more mana so that he could sustain himself with the help of the double support throughout the battle. So every single time that you back at home have an opportunity, when you open up a wall, there's a chance to kick the well, make sure that you do it.
Team Dignitas going for the kick 'em while you're while they're down strategy. As the cocoon is out, Webweaver's on the way. And Karazim was he there? I don't even know.
Yeah, that was a pretty quick kill that we saw there. He had absolutely no chance. And I mean, Dignitas is making Pork's life really easy right now. It's just like, dude, in a few seconds, could you please be here for Kami's like, okay, guys, I got you. And Snitch just capitalizes on it with a quick spread strike. Make sure that they're, I mean, at this point, it's just, there's level 10 on the other hand. So this is the moment Ballistics can really show, yes, we are behind, but maybe we can make something happen in a 5 versus 5 fight on even talents. And even though it's tough, fighting back against level 13 is also not out of the realm of possibility.
No, that is the talent tier generally respected as the one that if you have to fight a talent tier down, 13 is the one to do it. Post 10, that is. Team Ballistics is going to do that. They have a Howling Blast. Greymane, though, is still in the bottom clearing out, and that was wonderfully done by Team Dignitas because what it does is forces someone to be down there. There's no global from Ballistics. It is a short battleground to traverse across, but it still allowed Team Dignitas to try to come up and put some damage on the top fort, getting them closer to 13, which is now here.
And let's look at a few of the bright sides of Ballistics. Yes, 2 levels behind, 5 kills against 1. Doesn't really look too great for them, but they held on to a fair amount of gems. They lost some, but they still hold on to 17. And that is a turn-in, an easy one, and also halfway through towards the second. So there's definitely some potential for them to make their way back into this game. They've lost 2 forts already, but if they can get a kill against Dignitas, they might be able to turn this around. But so far, quite impressive performance in game number 2 by Dignitas as they are looking to use that advantage and push far out onto the map.
Things change for Ballistics too, that they have Palm now and they have Timeout for Chromie.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot harder to get the execution for Team Dignitas. They're going to try to do that. Cleanse was used for Moggy, so was Timeout. Yeah, you're not going to be able to hit Ancestral there on poor little Chromie. She is way too squishy from all that damage.
Yeah, that needed a harm. So the thought process here was go timeout and then cancel it before Malfurion follows up with the root, because that's of course the big problem that you have. Yes, timeout buys you a lot of time, but at the same time it allows your opponent to just simply walk up to you. So the idea was hit timeout, cancel it, walk out of the root as fast as you can. The problem is Dignitas locked them down, and as you said, the Ancestral wasn't fast enough. Hindsight being 20/20, he could have just waited a little bit longer, allow Karazim to walk up, and once he's in range, he can drop the palm. Is that enough to save the target? We'll never know, but it would have probably been the better choice here. But again, hindsight's always 20/20. It's easy to make that call after the whole thing already happened.
Yeah, the palm is what we wanted to see to deal with what happened with Team Dignitas last game, but that's another reason why Malfurion is such a beautiful pick here, is because Karazim has to be in range, and that puts him in range potentially of a Twilight Dream.
Yeah, if they can simply walk up to Chromie the way they did, then something went already wrong.
Right.
That should never really happen. There's a reason that we have Arthurs at the front trying to protect it.
Tough times for Ballistics as Team Dignitas are on their way to getting a third turn-in of the game. Ballistics still struggling to get there first. They are getting closer to 13. Cleanse used. Knock up there. In the back, Tigor Loop has to be used from Snitch, but Twilight Dream. Nice palm.
Really good palm. Well done here. Maggie is still about to fall as we see Snitch going in deep, and he gets the double. He gets the triple as Chromie falls as well. Hooligan is not going to walk away from this one either. A quad kill for Dignitas, 10 kills against 1, and whatever they had for breakfast today, I want some because these guys are on fire.
Yeah, we're going to have to talk to them about their pre-game rituals, make sure that we're doing the same for our casting tomorrow. And as much as that many kills hurts for Ballistics, the amount of gems lost might hurt more. Now they are just suffering on all fronts. 3-level leaded by Team Dignitas. They just can't keep themselves alive from this much power.
Ballistics is getting destroyed.
Yeah.
It's not only that they're losing, they are getting completely destroyed here. Dignitas has a 3-level lead right now, and they have also an easy time to go for another turn, and they could have gone for boss. At this point, the only discussion that you have in voice is how do we win the game? Like, there's 50 ways how we can do it, which is the one that you would like the most. They go for the turn-in, and let's say what they have to do. They have to get keeps. They need to make sure that that massive, massive lead that they have translates into something meaningful. And that means you have to take out keeps to create catapult pressure on the map, which helps you in the long run. The worst thing that they can do right now is play too passive. You don't want to overextend, but you also don't want to play too passive and allow Ballistics just to simply sit back, soak experience, get on the same talent level, and then take an even fight. So make sure that you get a meaningful advantage. You need to make sure that you play for.
I don't know if I have ever seen something as entertaining as Wubby Malfurion moonfiring a fort to death, but today I've seen all sorts of things. Hooligan receives a cleanse. The siege begins for Team Dignitas as they hope to bring down a keep.
Now they're playing into Chromie, who, by the way, ate a massive, massive combo here and is already in trouble. Hooligan himself also very low. Dignitas put on the pain, make sure that the fort, a keep in the mid lane, has eaten a lot of damage, and they can still transition. There's a Web Weaver at the bot lane starting to push in. They got a lot of towers already, solidifying the experience lead that they have. And they're going once again for Arthurs, and the Ancestral is not there in time. And no harm as Karazim is too far away.
Now the posturing to come out of this cocoon is really good. Zalia hits the stun, and Rhaegar does. There's even a little bit of a delay. And that's how fast it happened before we received the notification that he indeed did die. 24 seconds until Rhaegar's up. One keep falls, the second keep down 2. Nobody is safe from Team Dignitas. Nobody.
I really like they could have gone for core here. They could have made the play for core and simply just said, okay guys, let's go for this, especially with them still having Divine Shield. And I really like that, considering how low the death timers still are, that they simply said, guys, keep it cool. We got the keep down, take the second keep. We have a 4-level lead right now. A 4-level lead, we have enough gems, we can go for boss. It's our game to lose. Let's not make a mistake. If they, for any kind of crazy situation, are able to wipe us at the core, we can still lose this game. Let's not make that mistake and play it safe so that we get 100% away.
Yeah, comeback experience would not be fun to give to Ballistics right now with that 4-level lead. And with 2 keeps down, the world is Team Dignitas' oyster. They're really close to being able to get that turn in. Their boss is still up in top 2. There are still 1,000,001 ways for Team Dignitas to close out this game and get a 2-0 over Ballistics.
There's also a couple of things right now where Ballistics, they couldn't palm our target when Dignitas pushed into the mid lane because Karazim was the one defending the bot lane against the Web Weavers. I feel there was a decision that was probably made because he's the one that just doesn't have a cleanse yet. So normally you would expect Rhaegar to make that move to the bot lane and use his wave clear to defend against the Web Weaver. And especially with that blow-up potential that we're currently seeing from Dignitas, I would have really loved for them to keep Karazim for the palm in the mid lane. At this point, they at least have the level 16 talent. This is a fight that Dignitas doesn't really want to take right now.
No, Ballistics showed there on purpose just to try to get Dignitas to come up and give them what will be their last fair fight for an obscene amount of time. But Team Dignitas is just not willing to do that, not willing to give anything, even an inch to Ballistics.
That's catapult pressure on the core. At this point, Dignitas, the worst thing they can do is fight here. Just like sit tight, take your time, wait for 20, and then you can do whatever you want. There's catapult pressure on the core already against Ballistics. Level 20 is going to hit very soon. Dignitas is playing it extremely calm and collected here. They're taking the waves, and at this point, Ballistics had to react to the bot lane pressure, moved back as a 5-man, dealt with the catapults, but once they're back in the mid lane, Dignitas will have their storm talents.
Oh, there's a target been found. Snitch takes him out. Fantastic synergy from JPL and Snitch there. Poik behind. Wabi moving forward. All of the team moving forward. Astral Communion hits a lot of people with that silence. There's the Dragon Blade. And every single member of Ballistics is falling under the pressure of Team Dignitas. The sprays, the kill, the end.
17 kills against 1. A 4-level lead as Dignitas destroys Ballistics. I mean, that was quickness work.
That was brutal.
I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure what to say here. Like,
Yeah.
I expected a lot of fireworks from this series, but I did not expect it to be this one-sided. Not by a long shot.
Yeah, I thought after the first game, even. Like, the first game, you could see it with the drafting, how things went. Obviously, Dig played it very well.
Yeah.
But that we would be back into things, into the thick of it by the next game. But well drafted, well executed by Dig.
I expected in the second game very angry Koreans to show Europe that they can't just simply manhandle them on the first map like this without getting punished for it. And that was, that was insanely well played by Dignitas. And I feel like Ballistics made a few mistakes that I didn't really expect, but at the same time, it was very, very clean from Dignitas not allowing for a lot to happen here.
Yeah,
So,
it's obvious. Here's what we can say. It's obvious Dig came in with a game plan today. They came in, they were like, we're going to kill some people, and that's what's going to happen. We're going to get this double kill comp, this double reset comp. We're going to make their lives miserable, and they delivered on that. And the burden of execution, man. When you've got that kind of comp, you have those kind of kills, you got to be there like we saw in the synergy. So, just really well done.
That was scary. I'm not quite sure if it's... at this point, I'm really curious to see if Ballistics had a bit of an off day today, because, again, they looked so strong in previous games. It was really impressive to see how well they performed there, and all of a sudden, from one day to another, it's night and day.
I'm trying to... Is that the kind of comp that KSV played versus Dig? It is, isn't it? Oh, they played the Li-Ming Ana, Greymane.
Look at this, 17 kills against 1.
And Greymane Li-Ming similar. Really similar, just not with the Genji.
And again, I feel a lot of it comes really down to the fact that Ballistics was trying to take the fight pre-10 when they moved in with Arthur being on low HP, having no mana, and simply said, we can win this fight, we are getting the kill right now, and then we can get a turn in. And the exact opposite happened. And there is a reason why Europe loves to play on this map, because from there on out, it just snowballed, and they have the experience to play it on the map and never give the opponent an inch and know exactly where the pitfalls are.
Yeah, especially because Team Dignitas had a really early first turn-in, and they got towers. They got 4 towers down, but there was still a clear point where Ballistics could have had time to try to get a turn-in, and it felt like they almost felt so pressured that they had to get a kill, they had to get a turn-in right there, and it's understandably so, because 10 plus a web weaver phase, we just witnessed how scary that was. But maybe the nerves coming into play, something coming into play there, just feeling the pressure of needing to make something happen there.
Yeah, and the European teams both got a 2-0 today, but the performance could not have looked very different there. That was not supposed to be. I promise. No, no,
smoothly thrown in there.
It was not even a subtle any little attempt. I promise.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
I just want to say it was on paper it's a 2-0, so who cares? But like, the performance and how it came to pass was so different.
Yes.
There's a reason Fnatic walked off that stage and said, that should have been an 0-2. We should not have won this series. And then you see against a Korean team, Dignitas dominate this heavily. So that is a bit crazy. At the same time, Fnatic is a team that took a map off KSV Black, so I'm not
But
that
it
sure.
was the first map of the whole event.
Yes, true.
Yeah. It is... What Keldor's trying to say is, we're really trying to gauge the power levels, the strength of the European teams, and especially how they measure up to each other. And it's hard to do so.
I feel it oftentimes changes from day to day.
Yeah?
Look at CE today. They arguably played their best had their best performance today, even though they lost against KSV Black. And if you just look at the stats, it doesn't look good. But the way that they played was so much better than on previous days. And even with the Chinese teams, I have high trouble to really gauge their power level. CE taking good games on day 1, day 2. Then against SBT, you expect them, even though traditionally within the Chinese scene they don't trade well into them, to dominate because SBT didn't look good. All of a sudden, it's the exact opposite. So from one day to another, it really feels like the power levels are changing.
And let's not forget, yes, Fnatic did struggle a lot. Yes, people were caught. But I feel like that is some of the best North American play I've seen in a long time from Roll20.
True.
So good. The way they were controlling rotations, the way they used a Haka and then forced Fnatic at bosses. When Fnatic didn't get their boss, didn't give them the boss trade, and they manipulated that, they used that to their advantage. That's against Fnatic on Cursed Hollow that they were able to do that. They were able to make Keldor say, "This is fine. This is fine."
That is not how I did that.
Yeah, okay, you didn't fail.
It was fine. I promise. It was absolutely fine. Also, that's a really good point because we're talking a lot about Europe, how strong Europe or how strong or how weak Europe is depending on which team you're looking at, which performance. Let's go back to Dignitas against Roll20. When that happened, it really looked for a long time as if also Roll20 just threw these games away at the last moment. They get a kill against Leoric in a great position for them on Infernal Shrines, and then make the mistake of funneling into a choke point against the Rewind and Nubarak, who just said, "Hey boys, thanks you, it's Christmas come early," and all of a sudden they lose. But you can argue that if they don't make that mistake, they can actually win that. So right now, I really feel Roll20 is doing a lot of solid work here. And again, it's a question, was it Roll20 forcing mistakes? Was it Fnatic just simply playing bad? And the same is also true for Ballistics here.
Yes.
Dignitas played fantastic, but was that really the same Ballistics that played yesterday?
Yeah, seems very different from that. Before we came into today, KSV and Ballistics were tied in points up at the top. Roll20 just underneath, and then both European teams below. But remember, this is a round-robin stage where every team is going to play every other team across 7 days, 1 match per day per team.
I love this format so much.
It's an awesome format.
It is so great to just see the teams and how they trade from one day into another. It is absolutely amazing.
And now, KSV clearly in the lead, as we expected. As we expected BTG to be at the bottom. But from there, pretty close from the teams. Ballistics and Dignitas. Dignitas tying back up with Ballistics thanks to that 2-0 win there.
The German
Fnatic
in me wants to nitpick for a second. This should be switched. Dignitas has a direct comparison against Ballistics now, so Europe is second here.
Okay, well, there you go. Keldor makes sure, in the end, he still makes sure to let us know where Europe's sitting in this event. For now is all I'll say on
I'll
that.
take that. That's fine with me. You had the 3rd place yesterday, okay? I want my 2nd place today.
Yeah, I guess that's okay. I understand. But KSV in the top. I really like this format too, that it's not if you choose 0, you get just the 2 points instead of 3, just because it keeps those points, you know, within range. You have to take every single game seriously. There's no room for error.
Yeah, and also BTG currently with 4 losses here. I really felt they drafted so much better today.
They did.
Just the execution part is, if they improve that, I don't know, I want them to do well. But here we have our games for tomorrow, and we're going to start the day off with SPT going up against Ballistics. And SPT played really well today, so Ballistics, they can't perform on the level they did today if they want to get a victory here. So they need to improve in the 2nd game. Oh god, that's going to be so good.
Time to figure some stuff out, EU. Dignitas versus Fnatic, finally. Meanwhile, Roll20 versus KSV. We'll see if Roll20 can shut out KSV like they did the mid-season brawl. At least 1 game. And finally, China takes on China with CE versus Beyond the Game. I would ask you which match you're most looking forward to, but I feel like it's just a moot point.
Do we have that? I don't know who casts that anymore. I need to look at the schedule. I want that.
All right, well, we'll let you go look at the schedule. We're going to let you guys go for now. We'll be back with more Gold Club World Championship tomorrow. Good night.